Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a buying guide of the very popular Versace Eros line. I have all 6 of them here, so I'm going to be giving a little review on each, telling you the differences between each flanker and if I think they're any good. So the original Eau de Toilette launched in 2012 and was made by Arlene Gouchard, which is the same perfumer as Mate Premier, does the whole house. So this fragrance was created and said to embody the triumphant and flamboyant seducer. I like it already. And it is inspired by the Greek god of love. It's all about sensuality and power. And so the notes in Eros, kind of the backbone DNA of this whole collection, is mint, green apple, lemon, geranium, clary sage, ambermax, cedar, vetiver, patchouli, sandalwood, and vanilla. So this opens the Eau de Toilette. It's undeniable, guys. It does smell really, really good in the opening. It just has this brightness, this oomph to it. An oldie, but a goodie. And I love that kind of minty vanilla blast that you get in the opening. Now, I will say, as this dries, that strong, like in the forefront mintiness kind of takes a step back. And pretty quickly too, you're going to start to notice more of the base notes. There's something kind of earthy, very slightly dirty about it, more earthy than dirty though, that peeks through really quick. And I think it's that vetiver. And then you'll start to notice more of a geranium kind of clean mintiness and necessarily green mint. It opens very citrusy and bright and then starts to become a bit sweeter and creamier into the mid and dry down. And as it dries, that big dose of ambroxan really starts to come out. It really turns into this kind of like in-your-face ambroxan bomb. And the apple fruitiness in here as well is not so straightforward. Like especially when you think of more classic apple fragrances, it plays more of a role in the background of adding the sweetness. There's a lot of ambroxan, and it continues to get creamier as it dries, with a hint of this earthiness kind of coming through. But everything is just done in a really creamy way. It's very fleeting though. This is not a very strong performing scent, and very sadly that mintiness kind of dissipates pretty quickly. So the next release in this lineup was Eros Flame. This came out in 2018. And to this day, I would say probably one of the more popular flankers. And this is going to add some spice to counteract that extreme freshness. Kind of like cold and hot, sweet and spicy. This adds tangerine and bitter orange with rose, pepperwood, and a lot of black pepper. That's really what this spice is in this scent. So this one opens immediately. It feels more complex than the Eau de Toilette. It's not quite as minty or zesty as the Eau de Toilette. Totally different. It is spicy and still creamy, but it's creamy right from the opening. With more of a toned down geranium, you're definitely not going to get as strong of a minty facet in Flame. And I like this though because the citrus in here, it comes off more like a creamsicle, like an orange creamy creamsicle. It's more aromatic, and this beautiful kind of soft silky rose is here. Just kind of adds more elegance to the scent, and in my opinion makes it a bit more versatile and wearable. And there's a bit more sweetness here as well, with less of that ambroxan feel. It's not really in-your-face spicy like you would expect from the name. And just once again, everything is done in a creamy way. I love the citrus. The soft florals are beautiful. It's something that you can really dress up and wear in more seasons, which is why I think it is so popular. It's really nice, and I like that they made a flanker that was different enough from the original that it's not redundant to own both. So that takes us to the Eau de Parfum, which was released in 2020. So the popularity of Eros is starting to pick up at this time, and we're gonna see more releases pretty much on a yearly basis. And this definitely brings back more of that original DNA. It opens kind of aquatic in blue, which is different than the Eau de Toilette, but still with that classic mintiness and geranium, with a strong kind of spearmint vibe. So they do kind of up the mintiness in here. It's a little bit less vanillic than the Eau de Toilette and Flame, more like a clean scent. And what this feels like to me was Versace's flanker to kind of compete with more popular blue scents like Acqua di Gio, Bleu de Chanel, because this has more of this blue like cologne, like slightly oceanic vibe that the others don't have, but still holding on to that original Eros DNA. It's very citrusy, nowhere near as sweet as the Eau de Toilette and Flame, and the floral element in here also gives it some more classiness. This is also a very versatile flanker, Eros Eau de Parfum. So the following year, in 2021, we got Eros Parfum. Like I said, this is starting to go viral on the internet, so we're gonna see more flanker releases. And don't be surprised if that is a trend that carries into 2025, 2026. And this is supposed to add some more oriental notes, like some resins like elemi with sage and cashmere and benzoin. Yes, guys, I always loved this one. This was actually the first Eros that I had in my collection just because it was my favorite. I would still say it's one of my favorites. This opens more citrusy, sweet, and bright, but resinous right from the beginning too. It has a lot of density and weight and more of an amped up kind of lavender vibe in here, super aromatic. And they do have geranium in here that becomes a bit soapy as it dries, but not too much. It really just gives it a nice clean vibe, but not in an overpoweringly soapy way. And also not as blue feeling as the Eau de Parfum. The resins are not too strong, but it just adds something interesting to it. It's still a very fresh, easy to wear, very mass appealing scent. But once again, just a bit more interesting. A really nice twist on the Eros DNA. Really, really nice. I love the Parfum, it's so good. So last year we had a flanker release called Eros Energy, and this took the internet by storm. This is supposed to be inspired by the sun and the beauty of the Mediterranean coast. This has Peruvian lime oil and black currant, ambrophix and grapefruit, and we're only gonna do one spray of this one. There was a bit of a controversy around this one. This one really had the internet just split on two sides. People either love it or they hate it. And personally, I am part of the latter. I am not a fan of this fragrance at all. This just opens so incredibly citrus forward. It's like a sour, like cutting citrus. It's kind of like they tried to do some sort of Aventus twist with this, but they just overdosed it with this mix of very, very tart, kind of unripe citrus. Honestly, it's too much for me. It's kind of off-putting. It like makes me want to step away from it. Like I don't like to smell it. It is too intense for me. And it doesn't really get much better as it dries either. I initially reviewed this from a sample and I did buy a bottle of it because I thought maybe I could convince myself to like it. Maybe my thoughts would change over time, but the more time that has gone by, I dislike it even more. There's just something very weird about it in the dry down. Kind of green, a little bit dirty, and offensive. It's a pass for me. Try it in store because like I said, some people love it. So test it out, but in my opinion, screechy and offensive. There are much better options in this line. So that leaves us with the last release in the Eros line, which is Eros Najim. And this was released as a Dubai duty-free airport exclusive. And I was able to pick up my bottle in Dubai when I was there last October. And this is supposed to be made more oriental and exotic. Of course, it's a Middle Eastern exclusive. It's going to have some more kind of oriental notes. This adds caramel and cardamom with incense and oud, you know, quote unquote oud. And I love the color of the bottle too. This is seriously fantastic, you guys. It is so, so good. If you have the opportunity to experience this, you need to. It totally redeemed the failure that Eros Energy was. It is just so, so nice. It's a lot of caramel and cardamom with the kind of smoky but clean incense. It's not too much, it's not too challenging. I will say there's no oud in this. Like there's absolutely no oud. It's a bit dry, kind of semi-gourmand, but with a huge emphasis on the cardamom. And it does step very far away from that original DNA, but it is fantastic. And once again, I think it's nice when we have a flanker of something that is so different that it's actually worth having. It's not redundant. And as it dries, that very classic kind of geranium vibe starts to peek through. It's very aromatic, super appealing. I love the sweetness of the caramel. It's sweet and sensual and just totally worth it if you are in the Dubai airport, or if you can find a way to get your hands on this. Love the caramel, the smokiness of it. It is a killer good and very, very attractive fragrance. So that was just my quick buying guide overview of the Versace Eros line. I think it's a really nice line and very, very affordable on discounters, and even at retail is priced lower than basically any other designer house, which I do appreciate. Versace generally always keeps their prices lower, but you can find them on a bunch of different discounters for an absolute steal. And if I had to pick my favorites, I would have to say the Parfum is probably the most universal and closest to that original DNA of the Eau de Toilette. I think Flame is universally going to be better for everyone, but oh my gosh, there's just a special place in my heart for Najim. It's so good. There is an Eros out there for everyone, and I think it's worth having in your collection. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment down below. What do you think about Versace Eros? I would love to know what you think. And which fragrance designer line would you like me to do a buying guide on next? Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.